Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Welcome in, everybody, to Lock In Live NFL Week 9 with Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy. Thanks to everyone for joining us this Sunday morning. Hope you are doing well. Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy, how are you guys doing this morning?
Man, great. Fun day yesterday. Another winning day in college for me. That makes 7 out of 10 weeks for me in college that I've won. And man, I just couldn't wait to get to Sunday for the NFL. I love the NFL this week and excited about it.
Absolutely. How about you, Smooth? How are you doing?
Doing okay. Kissed my sister yesterday, by which I mean I went 8-8 on my bets, so that was kind of disappointing, but could have been worse. So excited though to hopefully take care of this or be on the bandwagon for some of these favorites, or rather these dogs covering this week. I've got two favorites I think out of my bets, but a lot of dogs this week again.
As always. Well, before we get into it, Uncle Phil, wanted to say shout out to you last week. You won 10-1 on your NFL Sunday notebook. It's an absolute masterclass, and I think that brings you up to 3 out of the last 4 weeks in NFL winning. So let's make it 4 out of 5, and let's try to replicate last week, the 10-1. Maybe try to go for a clean sweep.
Yeah, super excited about this week. Look, man, excited about it. Last week was so much fun. Always have a couple of those weekends. I mean, I was hoping for kind of a soccer term here. I was hoping for the clean sheet last week, but didn't quite happen. But I'll take 10-1 any day of the week. This week, I've got 13 picks in my notebook this week that I like. I like this week a lot. I'm feeling that we warned everybody last week. We felt like dogs were going to cover last week. It happened. Vegas was going to take the public to task. I feel even stronger about it this week. Feels like even more of a dog week to me. But so I found a couple totals to me that look really interesting, and that's what I'm going to take this week as my best bets. The first one, we're going to go to Atlanta. Neither one of these teams can play defense, but both can score. Atlanta is at the bottom of the league in 6 sacks total for the entire year. I just think if you give Dak that much time, Dallas is going to score. Both are weak on defense. I think this number sells over 52, but that's what I'm taking. First best bet is Dallas, Atlanta over 52. My second best bet, I'm going back to the place that was good to me last week, really good to all of us. So it's Cleveland. Chargers come in, be an interesting game. The sides, Chargers -1, 1.5, depending on your book. But what really interests me is that the total. The total to me seems clearly a little bit out of whack. Feels like the game should be around 36. It's at 42.5. I'm going under 42.5 as my second best bet.
Love it. Following the totals today. And I have the notebook here. I'm looking forward to the teasers and some of the spreads that you're playing.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
So, sorry about that. I just don't say I added an extra teaser on this week. Went 6 teasers, and I've got 7 sides in total in the notebook today.
Love it, man. I'm looking forward to it. Smooth. What dogs are you on today?
Well, starting off with the team that I think I read on Twitter probably came up more than any when the books were talking about their biggest liabilities, and that was I'm going to be on the Giants against Washington today. Everybody's on Washington. Everybody's put it in parlays and all kinds of things. So if the Giants can win outright today as a home dog against Washington, it's going to be champagne time for Vegas. I love being on sides like that, so I'm going to be on that side. Another one that's just like that is Miami and Buffalo. They're another one that comes up a lot when they mention the big liabilities. Everybody's on Buffalo, as you can imagine, and I'm going to be on Miami, as you can imagine. And finally, I also came up with a 4-indicator bet on Seattle against the Rams. I'm kind of surprised Seattle is so unpopular this week or that the Rams are that popular. I mean, both kind of surprised me because I kind of would have thought the public would look at these two teams as kind of more or less equal, a little disappointing, a little below average. But it's very one-sided on the Rams. So give me Seattle in that matchup.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to following those as well. Well, let's get to it. We already got some questions in the chat. Always great questions, and probably the best part of the show is getting to speak to you guys with your questions. First on the line, we got Andreas on YouTube. He says, how many times will the fade the public play be with the Giants, and how many times will they keep disappointing us? He's an unfortunate Giants fan. Well, Smooth, you're on the Giants. Uncle Phil?
Smooth.
Yeah. I mean, I've got Carolina this week too, and I just hate that I have Carolina. I mean, they're getting 7.5 points, so I'm hoping that makes a big difference. But God, Carolina's just so terrible with Bryce Young. So don't get me wrong; it's I get it. I just do what the spreadsheet tells me, and just hope to be pleasantly surprised by some of these terrible teams. I mean, I think the Giants are not a terrible team. Hopefully they'll get their offensive line issues straightened out. That's really what's kind of screwed them the last 2 weeks. Is not being able to stop the pass rush, and they lost their left tackle, and that was it. And it felt like the whole line just fell apart. But today, I've got 3 numbers from casinos. Don Best is 84% on Washington. MGM is 81%, and DK Sportsbook is 85% as well. I mean, that's just they might as well just send me a handwritten invitation in the mail to bet that game. So I'm on it.
Yeah. Washington certainly looks like the play to me. It just feels too easy. I had it originally in my notebook. I pulled Washington off. For some reason, it feels too easy. I probably regret it. I'd kind of be going against Smooth Andy there. I kind of like Washington. The Giants, without Andrew Thomas, their all-pro left tackle, just seems a little bit lost on offense. Daniel Jones reverts back to last year's Daniel Jones. Doesn't seem like it, but again, there's no easy money in Vegas, and this one just seems a little too easy to me. Smooth Andy's probably on the right side. We just saw right before we came on that Brian Robinson, running back for Washington, is out today. So that's a little bit of a weapon that Jaden doesn't have in support of Smooth Andy. But again, interesting game. Should be a lot of fun. These division games are always kind of wild and kind of stuff you don't expect. But typically a little bit closer to the mark than people think as well. The line's typically a little bit inflated. So, like I said, I was on Washington initially. It was on my big board. I pulled it off. Line just seems a little too easy to me and suspicious. Kudos to Smooth Andy for having the guts to take it.
Well, my bet amounts are a lot smaller than yours, so it's easy for me to take a bigger chance every now and then than you do. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm going to take the liberty as the host to ask my own personal question. I'm interested in the Jacksonville-Philadelphia game, Doug Peterson's revenge game. Where do you guys stand on that one?
Yeah, Smooth Andy, go ahead. Take it first.
Lean on Jacksonville. That's it. Didn't make my card, but I did get one indicator on Jacksonville. I don't think Doug Peterson has the ability to exact revenge on Philadelphia. Judging by the way his team is playing this year, I don't think he can just turn a switch, or that it's not. I'm not entirely sure that the team likes him very much the way they're playing for him. So I'm not sure that they're going to bring a bunch of extra against Philadelphia. I kind of think these revenge game things are a little overblown. But I don't have a side in this one. I'll be rooting for Jacksonville just because I like Trevor Lawrence, but that's about it. And I'm not a big Philadelphia fan, but that's about it for me. But just a lean, that was it.
Yeah, to me, it's not in my notebook. If I were playing it, I'd play the opposite again. I'd play Philadelphia. Philadelphia seems like they've got something to play for. Jacksonville is selling off pieces. They just got rid of Cam Robinson, their left tackle, and they've got their cornerback. What's his name? Tyrese. I can't remember his name, but anyway, their star cornerback rather. They've got him inactive today. I figure he's probably going to get moved before the trade deadline. I think that's a problem as well. Especially with A.J. Brown out there, I think Philadelphia probably smashes him. I feel like Doug Peterson's probably a dead man walking at this point. It just kind of feels like that they're, again, I told you guys last week that the line was weird with Jacksonville and Green Bay. As a matter of fact, I said Jacksonville's winning that game. Well, they didn't win last week, but they sure covered and left a lot of people who had Green Bay money in dismay. I think this week is I think this is a tough week and tough matchup for him. I don't think it's going to be a good homecoming for the Jags coach, and I think that Philadelphia probably lays the wood to them. Probably be a good spot. Philadelphia's played some bad teams in a row. Probably a good spot to fade them probably next week, but I think they hammer the Jags today. But I left it out of the notebook. 7.5 was just too many points.
Definitely. Well, let's keep it rolling with the questions. We got Ajar on Twitter. He says Miami +6. Uncle Phil.
Yeah. Look, I think it's Miami +6, and look, I think that's a sneaky dog. I mean, my first gut when I looked at this line of like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to hammer Buffalo, and and I put it on my big board. And then the more I looked at this game, I took it off because I feel like, in looking at some of the public plays this week, Buffalo is one of the top public plays. Again, the public, especially in division games, they go back to the last one and they go, that same thing is going to happen again this week. And, it just doesn't always work out that way. That being said, Miami, I think, is 0 for the last 8 up at Buffalo. So I just, their trips to Orchard Park just haven't been as good for them. So I'm not sure that that Buffalo gets a 6 for whatever reason. I still, in my mind, if they hammer them, I'm going to be disappointed. I took it out of the notebook, but for some reason, I stay away. I stayed away from that game. For some reason, I could see Miami backdoor covering at the end and screwing everybody for some reason. But it does feel like McDermott has got Tua's number. He knows that Tua loves those crossing routes, and he's built his defense around that, and they seem to take those away. So that's about what I think about it. What do you think, Smooth Andy? Like I said, I wouldn't be opposed at all if you wanted to tease that number down and put it in conjunction with somebody. I think that's probably the safer play. To me, that's how I would play it, as part of one half of a teaser. But I stayed away from the spread. Smooth Andy, floor is yours.
You said the number's at 6, though, right?
Yeah.
But if you tease it down, it's going to only go through the 3, not the 7. You're not.
Yeah, I still think Buffalo wins. I don't think Miami's going to win just because based on the history. But I would take them down to 0, or in my case, I do 6.5 point teasers to get that extra half point. So I'd take them plus 0.5. And I still think that's just me basically saying Buffalo's going to win on the money line. But the juice isn't worth the squeeze on me to play it on the money line. But I still think Buffalo wins just because based on their history. I just think 6 is a little rich for a division game.
Okay. Yeah, I've got Miami. It's one of the 3 picks I just called for today. They're getting they're getting 18%, 13%, and 25% at the 3 books that I had tracking on that game. That's not the only reason I bet them. It was just one.
Yeah.
I ended up with 4 indicators on them, so I'm on them today. very nervous about it. Buffalo's been playing great. Miami, I think, lost by 1 point to Arizona last week. Is that right? So they came back with Tua and didn't come out and just hit the ground running. So people might be a little wary of them. And Buffalo, meanwhile, has just been rolling. And I've lost some money betting against Buffalo. I think last week I did. It wasn't even close. So they look like they're on fire. So I kind of like this for that reason. It just looks like it's an easy win for Buffalo. And to Uncle Phil's point, they did win the game in Miami earlier this year. So it looks like they own Miami, and it's just a cursory look is going to make you want to bet Buffalo. But I'm kind of glad my spreadsheet said otherwise.
Yeah, looks like Vegas just lowered that number just down just enough to make you just like, oh my gosh, that's free money again.
Yeah,
We're just smash this.
It's below
And
the
so,
7, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I stayed away from it. I just didn't play it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the question there, Ajar. Next up, we got Pierre, and we're going to combine it with Preston Westheimer, man of the hour from yesterday.
No doubt.
They both want to know about the Ravens. Preston is a little worried about being too many points with +9.
Yeah. Looks like. Do you have any thoughts on that game with Andy?
Yeah, I'm going to be on Baltimore. It's might be my only favorite. It's either them or I might have another, but I think it's just Baltimore. I don't normally end up on games like this, but everybody loves Denver this week in the public is one of the reasons. There were some other things with matchups and certain things I look at. It's going to be a 3-dog for me. Yeah, I'm on Baltimore minus I think 8, is it, or 9? 8 or 9?
It's 9 now.
It's
9 and a half yesterday. It's 9 now. Look, for me, it's in my notebook, so I won't talk about it. But look, for this one, I think that again, the public is all over Denver on this one, but the money is slightly on Denver as well. So look, it's it'll be an interesting thing. I mean, Bo Nix has gotten better. He was the offensive rookie of the month in October. Certainly has really grown accustomed to Sean Payton's system. They're working well together. Looks like they may work well together for years. We'll see. Baltimore, last week kind of carry over to this week for them? And I know next week they play the Bengals. So is Baltimore going to have a little bit of a look ahead spot this week? It'll be an interesting game for sure. Baltimore's total has gone over almost every single game, but can they go over with Denver? I mean, that may be a spot you look like. Again, Baltimore's back end is susceptible to the pass, but Bo Nix doesn't play as well on the road. So lots of things to consider. Like I said, I have a strong opinion on it. It's in my notebook, but should be. I think it should be a really good game.
Definitely. Well, thanks for the question, Preston and Pierre. Let's keep it rolling. This is awesome. We're going to go to BK Who on Twitter. Good to see you, man. It says Cleveland money line ? Jameis Magic, is it real?
What do you think, Smooth Andy?
Jameis Magic is just like Fitz Magic in that he will go out there and have 2 or 3 really good games, and you'll be like, damn. And then he'll go out and have 2 or 3 really bad games, and you'll go, damn. Same thing. And Minshew Magic, same thing. You just have to hope if you're going to bet on them that you're on that upward trend, and we'll see if that's the case today. I've got Cleveland. It's my lowest ranked game on my card with 2 dogs. It's the only 2-dogger on my thing, so I'm going to be rooting for him. He's also on my fantasy team this week because the San Francisco is on the bye. So I'm going to be looking at that game and hoping I get some good stuff from him. But again, he's great in fantasy because he'll get you 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions every game, and touchdowns count more. So he's like that. So we'll see. Either way, he's definitely playing better than Deshaun Watson. I doubt that he will regress to the point where he's worse than Deshaun Watson was. And I expect that you'll see a good game out of him again today.
Yeah, for this game, to me, it was the last pick that I took off my notebook this week. I actually had Cleveland +1, +1.5, depending on the book you're getting. It was my last pick. I love Cleveland. I think they were just missing a quarterback, and I think that's the problem with their team. Jameis showed it last week how feisty they can actually be, and no question about that. Last week was not luck, wasn't a bad spot for Baltimore. It was Cleveland playing up to their potential, played really well. But Smooth Andy said, sometimes Jameis giveth and sometimes he taketh away. And for me, I looked at today and I go, Jameis made me money last week. I'm not going to let Jameis take away my money this week. And so I left it alone. I left that alone. Baltimore dropped 2 or 3 surefire interceptions last week. I don't think that Jameis gets that lucky this week. If he puts it in harm's way again, it'll be interested to see how it goes for this game. But that's why I stayed. One of my best bets is I erred toward the side of the total. I feel like I know these teams well enough, especially their defenses. Again, when I bet something, it's who do I trust? And I trust in these games. I trust their defenses, and that was a bigger percentage odd for me, and that's why I went the way I went.
You know what I can't help but wonder though is why when Cleveland lost to Sean did they go to DTR instead of to Jameis first? They started with is it DTR? Is that right?
Yeah,
right.
Dorian
Thompson or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I mean, why did they go to him? I would have thought Jameis would have been number 2 on the pecking order behind Deshaun, but they went to DTR, and that was perplexing to me. And then he didn't do well, and then he got hurt, I think, and now Jameis is.
Yeah, my personal thoughts is that they knew Jameis would come in and outplay Deshaun, and that they would have to make a change at that point. And the owner, again, is the one who is pushing Deshaun Watson because he guaranteed all that money. My favorite saying, it's okay to be wrong, not okay to stay wrong. This owner has stayed wrong with Deshaun Watson and kept him. And I think you put Dorian Thompson-Robinson in there, it doesn't look as bad. But when you put Jameis in there, it's an instant switch, and now he looks really stupid. And I think that was the reason why, or at least that's the reason that I've heard. I know an agent who's got somebody on that team, and that's what he said. So for me, I think Jameis is there, and I think everybody's happy now. The owner, it gave him a chance to go, okay, Deshaun's out for the year. We can go ahead and play Jameis now instead of Dorian Thompson-Robinson or anybody else because Deshaun's out. It's not going to matter. It's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Hey, well, thanks for the question, BK. We'll take a few more here. Let's go to Darion. He says Raiders plus 7.5. Where do you guys stand on that one?
Yeah, in my notebook, I'll defer to Smooth Andy on that one.
Yep, I'm on Vegas. I'm in Vegas, and I'm on Vegas today. That one ticked 3 boxes for me, so I'm going to be on them today. I feel like I've been on Vegas every week the whole season because they're always a dog. But yeah, that's I'm on them this week. Again, it's all just metrics. It's not Minshew wins more games that on Sunday afternoons than again in the Midwest or any of that kind of stuff. It's just straight up raw math, and I've got 3 indicators on them, so that's where I am.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Darion. Corky, good to see you, man. Corky wants to know who you think will have a big day from a player prop perspective. Even though you guys don't do player props, looking at the board, is there any player where you're like, that guy's going to have a good day? Running back, quarterback, tight end, receiver.
Talk about the blind leading the blind here, huh, Uncle Phil?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that for the Bears, I think Singletary will have a good running day versus Arizona's run defense. I think that's a good play for me. I like that one just offhand. I'm trying to think. I think Bijan Robinson's going to have a day against Dallas. I like that a lot. I especially all scrimmage if you're including his all scrimmage yards, particularly from receptions as well as running. I think, in second thought, that's probably, again, I don't do many player props, rarely, but if I were playing it, that's where I'd stick.
I like that. Goes well with your over bet in that game. Well, guys, we're hitting 25-minute mark. We're about an hour and 5 minutes from kickoff. Any last words before we wrap up here?
Yeah. Smooth Andy?
Nothing. Just excited to get down there and start watching football again today.
Yeah, same here. Look, I mean, like I said last week, we had 2 really good public weeks in week 6 and 7. Week 8, I told you guys that it was going to be more of a dog day. I'm feeling the same again this way. If you have a choice, take dogs. If you don't have the stomach for it, play totals. Look, in general, whatever line scares you most that you're like, I just can't take that. That's probably the side that you should stay on. And it's hard to do. But when you lose a lot of money, and I've been there, Andy and I have both been there, we've kind of learned our systems. We've learned to look for the dogs and to see the diamond in the rough, so to speak. But guys, hey, thanks for tuning in for Matty Host Show, Smooth Andy. Please follow Smooth Andy at Smooth Andy 5 on X. That's where the only place you can find Smooth Andy. I'm on all platforms, including YouTube. Again, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for joining. And again, let's have a day, guys. I can't promise 10-1 today, but I think we're going to have a day. As always, guys, let's roll.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.